everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Rachel, and in today's video I am going to be talking about all of the series that I want to start and hopefully finish in 2023. So I am feeling very excited and very ambitious for 2023. I obviously want to read a ton of books, and I really want to focus on reading series, hopefully to their completion. I own a lot of series that I'm very excited about and that I would love to finish next year. There's also a few series that I don't own but are definitely on my radar, so this is kind of going to be like a general series TBR for next year, but they are going to be mostly series that I have not started yet. So amongst the probably like 50 plus, I don't even know, series that I'm currently in the middle of, I also would like to start a bunch of series because I like to challenge myself, I guess. But today I just wanted to run through with you some of the series that have been on my radar that I would love to start next year, and we'll see if I end up finishing them. But without further ado, let's get started. All right, so the first series that I would love to read in 2023 is the Farseer trilogy by Robin Hobb. So starting off with a bang, starting off with a classic, this is, I feel like, such a well-loved and well-known trilogy here on BookTube. I do believe it is just like one trilogy in a larger set of series. I've seen a lot of books with this kind of cover design that aren't part of the Farseer trilogy, but from what I know, this series follows our main character Fitz, who is the illegitimate son of a prince who is trained as an assassin. It follows his life as he grows up, gets involved with the political goings-on in this kingdom, comes into his own as an assassin with his magic. I have heard that this is a character-driven adult fantasy, which is my absolute favorite type of story. You guys know this, so I have very high hopes, very high 5-star hopes for this trilogy. I've also heard it's a pretty emotional story, which I love. I love when a fantasy book makes me cry. There's nothing better, honestly. So I am so excited to read this next year, and I hope that it is a hit. Another classic adult fantasy series that I would love to read in 2023 is the Mistborn trilogy by Brandon Sanderson. 2023 is going to be the year that I get into my Brandy Sandy era. I did start Warbreaker by Brandon Sanderson a few months ago on a whim. I was just feeling silly goofy, and I decided to pick up the audiobook and start reading the book, and started listening to it and reading along. I did really like it. I was enjoying it, but it was kind of at a point where I was reading a few other books as well, and I was like, okay, I either need to commit to this book or just put it down and just continue on with the other books that I was reading and pick this up at a later date. So I technically have not read a Brandon Sanderson book, and I am planning on reading Warbreaker next year as well, but I also want to read the Mistborn trilogy. This is an extremely popular, well-known, and well-loved trilogy, and I heard it is a great place to start in Brandon Sanderson's Cosmere. Honestly, I don't really know what this series is about, which is weird because it's so popular and I hear about it so much. I feel like what I've heard is it's kind of a story about if there's like this epic battle, what if the villains won type of thing, and what would the world look like, and what would we do, and what would, you know, characters do in a story like that. So sounds really amazing. I am hopeful that I just fall in love with Brandon Sanderson's writing, and I did not include the Stormlight archives in this video just because I don't want to like set myself up like that. But if I get through Warbreaker and the Mistborn trilogy, I will also maybe pick up like the first book in the Stormlight archives and give that a shot as well. Okay, so I'm just doing all of the classic fantasy series right now, but like the classic fantasy series, like the godfather of the fantasy world, I need to read The Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit. The fact that I haven't is just horrible because I love the movies so much, but I've always been intimidated by the books, particularly because people have said that Tolkien's writing style is you either love it or you don't. So I really don't know where I'm going to fall on that spectrum, but I want to read these books. I love the movies so much, I need to read the source material. And I also have these beautiful nerdy ink dust jackets to get me more excited to read this series. So I want to pick these books up in 2023 for sure, starting with The Hobbit and then continuing on with the Lord of the Rings trilogy. Let me know what you think of the Lord of the Rings trilogy books. Like, if you love the movies, how do you feel the books stack up to them? Because I'm very nervous, but I definitely want to read it because I do love the overall story, and we'll see how I like this. The next series that I want to read in 2023 is The Hunger Games by Suzanne Collins. So believe it or not, I have not read this trilogy, and I've only seen the first movie actually, so I don't really know how the series ends. I don't know what happens with Katniss and Peeta and Gale and everyone, so I'm very curious to read this trilogy. I have heard that this is a very well-written YA dystopian series and that it really does age well. Like, as people read it as adults, they still really enjoy it and still think it's an amazing trilogy. So I have very high hopes. I really want to read this trilogy and then also continue on with the movies because I did really love the first one. So I hope that I love this trilogy. I hope it stacks up to my love for the first movie. movie, and I am excited to see how this series continues and ends. The next series that I want to read in 2023 is a series that I should have already read by now in my life, and the fact that I haven't is ridiculous, and I actually put the first book of this series on my 22 books to read in 2022 video that was like one of the very first videos I put out on my channel last January, and that is the Percy Jackson series. I need to read this. I know I'm going to like it. I know that I am going to enjoy the series. Once again, I did buy the Nerdy Ink dust jackets because I think they're really beautiful, and also it'll kind of get me more excited to read this book. But this is a middle grade series. I feel like I don't really need to talk about what this series involves. I believe there's a lot of Greek mythology involved in this series. I know there were some movies that came out of this series that a lot of people did not like, but I know that a Disney Plus adaptation TV series is being made as well. So I want to watch that, so I need to read the books first. So this is a series that I am 100% prioritizing in 2023. Okay, so this video is basically me just exposing myself for how many of the popular series that I have not read, because this next one, this is bad, guys. The Diviners by Libba Bray. I own all 4 books. This is like one of the most loved series on BookTube. I feel like everyone absolutely loves it. It's like a YA paranormal fantasy series, and I believe we have found family, and I think there's like a murder mystery, ghosts, all that. I've heard the audiobooks are fantastic. I am so looking forward to reading this. I do think I'm probably gonna wait until the end of the year and read it in the fall, as I've heard that that is the best time to read it, but I know so many people absolutely adore this series. It sounds like it would be right up my alley, so I am very much looking forward to reading this. The next series that I want to read in 2023 is the Bargainer series by Laura Thalassa. So the first book is Rhapsodic, and this is like a dark fantasy romance. So our main character is a siren, and she ends up making a deal with the Bargainer, and when the Bargainer comes to collect, her whole world turns upside down. There's also a mystery aspect to this fantasy series, as many Fae warriors start to go missing. So I think we do have a bit of like a dark enemies to lovers. A lot of people say this is like dark ACOTAR, which like sign me up. I'm excited. So I will be reading this first book in January, and I think I'm really going to love it. Okay, so the next series that I want to read in 2023, I have started this series. I've read the first 3 books in this entire collection, but there are so many books in this like whole world that I need to read that I'm including it in this video because I feel like I've barely scratched the surface. And that is the Shadowhunter Chronicles. So I'm obviously holding up Clockwork Angel, which is the first book in the Infernal Devices, but I want to read the entirety of the Shadowhunter Chronicles by Cassandra Clare in 2023. It's time. I gotta do it. I think there's 14 or 15 books, and I've read 3 so far, so I have a lot of work to do. But I am reading Clockwork Angel in December, and I'm very excited about it. I haven't picked it up yet, but I definitely will read it this month. And I've heard that this is like the shining star. The Infernal Devices is everyone's favorite, so I am really looking forward to reading this, to getting more into the Shadowhunters world. I have read City of Bones, City of Ashes, and City of Glass, and they were okay. I think I gave the first 2 books 3 stars. I think I actually gave City of Glass 4 stars. It is a little cheesy, but I love a YA urban fantasy, so I like it so far. I just haven't felt super motivated to pick this series up as a whole, but a lot of you told me that it's definitely worth reading the Infernal Devices and the Last Hour series, and I decided since I own all the books, I might as well just read them all. So hopefully by the end of 2023, I will have completed the Shadowhunter Chronicles. I hope so badly. Definitely going to be a major priority each month for me on my TBRs, and I hope that I love it. The next series that I want to read in 2023 is the Blood Grace series by Bella Roth. So this is the first book, Blood Mercy. I actually started this book, I think I got about 200 pages in, and then I put it down. Not because I was not enjoying it, but I was in a reading slump and I was fighting for my life trying to read this book, but I just could not focus. I truly think that Jade City put me in like the biggest book hangover of my life, and I did try to read this right after Jade City, and I think that it was probably just 2 dense fantasies back to back, and I was not able to continue reading this. I also put it down because I knew that I loved it and I was enjoying it, but the headspace that I was in, I wasn't going to give this book a fair shot. So I like this. This is not like a bad DNF. This is like the most soft, gentle, sweet DNF, like it's not you, it's me situation. So I want to read this entire series in 2023. It's a 6-book series, and it is an adult fantasy romance. Just look at that cover. It is so stunning. So this series I can actually talk a bit more about because I have already started it. This follows Cassia and Leo. So Leo is this vampire-like being. They are called Hesperines, and Cassia is the illegitimate daughter of the king, and she's basically just trying to survive in her kingdom, but the Hesperine people come to Cassia's father's kingdom to kind of have like treaty talks, and the 2 of them meet and form a friendship. And I know that this is like a pretty epic fantasy once you get into it. it. These books are very long and there are 6 books in the series. I've heard wonderful things about the entire series and I really, really want to continue on with it. This is definitely like a sweeter romance. Our love interest Leo was so sweet and just earnest and so interested in Cassia and wanting to protect her and support her. So I really liked what I have read of this book so far. And I am excited to see where the series goes and where the plot goes because, you know, as far as I got into it, I wasn't entirely sure. We were still doing a lot of world building. So I'm excited to read this series next year. So the next few series are romance series that I don't currently own but are on Kindle Unlimited that are definitely on my radar and I would love to complete next year. So the first one is, I believe it's called like the Edens series by Devney Perry. I know the first book is Indigo Ridge. This is a small town romance series and I believe that there's also a mystery aspect, kind of a suspense aspect. I am really looking forward to this. I've recently discovered that I really love small town romances, so I think that this will be a great series to add to my 2023 TBR. I've seen nothing but wonderful things from a lot of the romance gals that I follow here on BookTube, so definitely a series that I want to read next year. I also want to read the Kingmaker series by Sophie Lark. This is an adult mafia romance series. The premise sounds really cool. So it follows this like academy where all of the like mafia type people send their kids to learn how to, you know, be in the biz basically. So I believe the first book is a friends to lovers of like 2 people who have known each other their whole lives, are raised in the mafia world, go off to the academy together, and a romance blossoms. It sounds really, really fun. I love a school setting in any book, so I'm really looking forward to this. And I generally like Sophie Lark's books, so I think I will enjoy this one. The next series that I want to read in 2023, I believe it's just a duology, and the first book is called Binding 13. I don't remember the author's name, but I will have a picture up here. Basically, my friend Lachlan, she read this first book and absolutely loved it and said it was amazing, and so I naturally added it to my TBR. Also, I am particularly interested in this because I believe it is set in Ireland and our love interest is a rugby player. I really do want to read this duology. These are very thick and chunky books, but hopefully I will be able to fly through them and they will both be 5 stars. All right, and then the last series that I want to read in 2023, I truly did save best for last, is the Ice Planet Barbarian series by Ruby Dixon. I can't believe I haven't picked this series up because it's been around forever. The hype has been around forever, but I want to read it. I feel like everyone knows what the series is. It's blue alien smut, essentially. I believe we have like a group of women who, I don't know if they get like abducted from Earth or whatever, but they get dropped on this planet with a bunch of blue aliens. I'm not really sure on the premise, but I know there are a ton of books in this series, and I've heard a lot of people say that yes, it's an interesting concept, it's a little bit different, it's a little bit quirky, but a lot of my friends actually really love these books. Like Christina loves the Ice Planet Barbarian series, and she and I have very similar taste. I think if I just go into this series, it's just going to be fun, alien romance. Like, I'm here for it. These books are also pretty short, so I feel like I could fly through the series pretty quickly, and I just want to see what all the talk is about if I am actually going to enjoy the series. Ice Planet Barbarians is absolutely on my TBR for next year. All right, guys, so that is it. Those are all of the series that I would love to start and hopefully finish next year. I'm sure that more will come on my radar and I will just add even more to this TBR. But those are my general series plans for next year. I would love just like any advice, any recommendations. If you guys have read any of the series that I mentioned in this video, what do you think I should prioritize? What did you love? I would love to hear your thoughts. If you made it to this point in the video and you wanted to let me know, go ahead and leave the alien emoji for Ice Planet Barbarians. As always, my Instagram and my Goodreads are linked down below. You are welcome to follow me on there at any time. I really appreciate that you watched this video. I hope that you were all having a fantastic day, and I will catch you guys in the next one.